Welcome to the Sweaty Scientist podcast, where we explore the intersection of two really deep passions of mine, which are running and science. Welcome to episode 103, and joining me today is Julia Schuler. Julia, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, this is exciting. I was just looking at your LinkedIn profile over the weekend, and I just noticed that you have been with Oncotest since before the acquisition by Charles River Laboratories. So you've
Yeah.
been working in organoids and organoid scientists
Yeah.
for a good 2 decades now. So I think that's fantastic, and I'm sure we'll explore that area. But as we get started, what I'd really like to understand is kind of your journey
Mhm.
in running, how you got involved in that. I think we talked a little
Mhm.
bit about that, and let's tell us a little bit about that.
So the my how I came into running
Yeah, yeah. Well,
is
maybe first
yeah,
start. Give us a little bit of your background. So
yeah,
you're PhD, you have
yeah,
postdoctoral experience,
yeah.
etc. Give us
So
a little bit of your background, then tell us about your journey in running.
yeah, absolutely. So actually, I'm a vet. I studied veterinary medicine, so I'm a vet.
Great.
And I studied in Berlin, came then back to Freiburg, my hometown, because it's so beautiful here. And I started a PhD in the company then called Oncotest and worked on PDX and orthotopic implantation of PDX. I went then to the Max Planck Institute and did a little bit of immunobiology and then joined back industry, had several positions in Oncotest and then in Charles River and worked my way through to the R&D department. And now I'm overlooking the oncology platform development within Charles River Discovery.
Oh, that's amazing. It's really unusual, at least from my perspective, to find somebody that has just such a deep history in one company and
Mhm.
also kind of one scientific discipline with organoids. I think that's fantastic. And your background as a veterinarian kind of
Mhm.
explains the comment you made to me the other day about horses and your love for
Yeah,
horses, and you got a new horsey. So
yeah,
yeah. So tell us a little bit about your running journey. How'd you get into that?
yeah. Actually, I started relatively late in my 40s. Actually, the main reason was that my dad was diagnosed at the time with Parkinson's disease, and the message was clear. So you have to do something for your health condition. With two small kids at home, a full-time job, and other things to juggle, I had to find something that keeps me healthy, and running was the solution. It's super easy. You can do it anytime, anywhere, on
Mhm.
every business trip, and it really, really frees your mind. So this is how I came into running.
Oh, that's great. I think a lot of us find that the ease of access is just
Mhm.
key, right? All you really
Yeah,
need is a pair of running shoes,
yeah,
and some comfortable clothing, of course, right?
yeah.
Something to absorb the sweat. Now you mentioned something there about taking your shoes with you on business trips. So you pack out kind of like many of us do. You got a suitcase, you throw your running shoes in there and manage to get a run or two in. I guess one question I like to ask everybody is, do you remember your first 5K or your first half marathon? Or just, is there one memorable run that you can tell us about?
I would say that the most important one was the first half marathon because I worked so long for that one. So actually, I started in 2018, I think, 2018 or 19. I started to increase the kilometers I run per day, and and then like literally 6 weeks before the run, I got myself a runner's knee. So that
Um,
was it for running for 6 months.
mhm.
So I did my homework. I bought the appropriate shoes. I did interval trainings and all that stuff, and started again. And in 1 year later, there was 2 weeks before the marathon, there was a shutdown, so COVID hit. Um,
So
yeah,
that
so
got canceled out from underneath you.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's so
uh,
disappointing.
yeah, yeah, totally. But 22, I made it in 22. And
Oh,
this
that's,
was really, really a great success for myself. Absolutely. Yeah. The
and what
weather was
half marathon
perfect.
was that?
And sorry,
What half marathon was that?
that was in Freiburg in my hometown, which is super nice as it goes really through the historic center. So you can run where you are never allowed to walk or drive. So that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
oh,
Yeah.
that is so cool. Now, there's a picture of you on LinkedIn where you must be standing on a hill. The sun is behind you, and you're
Mm.
looking out over this town, and there's this beautiful church spire in the background. Is that Freiburg?
That's Freiburg. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it looks wonderful. It looks
It is.
wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe one of these days I'll be fortunate enough to go over there. I want one of my goals is to do the Abbott series where you do
Hmm.
the London Marathon, the Berlin Marathon, and etc. I would
Hmm.
love to do the Berlin Marathon just
Hmm.
to see the history and run through the city. I think there's really, no better way to really understand your local environment and
Yeah.
your local city and enjoy it. Just some fabulous memories of running in Paris and other
Hmm.
cities when I'm on the
Yeah.
road. So just it's a great time. Now, are you training for anything in particular currently?
No, currently not. So still the horse is the first priority. So I do the running to keep my back healthy and
Yeah,
my mind clear, but no
yeah,
trainings
okay. Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
yeah. And when you do train, you do a certain program? Are you really religious about it as far as, recording your mileage and, doing speed work and all that stuff, or how do you approach it?
So usually I do sorry, I do like once a week I do interval trainings, but otherwise it's really just making some meters and clear the mind. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of times it's just about getting the miles on your feet
Yeah.
and getting used to it. And then as you mentioned, freeing the mind or just letting the mind disengage and putting it in neutral for a little while
Yeah.
because you're so focused on the screens in front of us or
Yeah.
our phones or what have you. It's great to put that
Yeah.
aside and just run and let your mind relax.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and another avenue I like to explore is like while you're doing that, while you're putting the mind and relaxing the mind and
Mm,
freeing that, your mind kind of works away at its own little knots, tries to
mm,
untie things. Did you ever have an experience when you're running where you were thinking about something at work or a scientific issue that you're working on that you faced, where you just kind of teased it apart, almost like a dream, right? Where
mm,
in our dreams or maybe our nightmares, we kind of solve
mm.
issues, right? And running's a little bit
Yeah.
like that as well. Did you ever have a situation like that?
Yeah, it's more like the day-to-day issue. So what I really like on running is that I can sort of dissect the issue I'm trying to solve.
Hmm.
So that by thinking of putting it into little pieces without knowing that I have the time to just think about it without someone interrupting or wanting something else from me, that's super helpful. And then I can put it aside, just run a few miles, and then the decision comes to me like, okay, I know now that's the best way. So
Yeah.
um, it's really that point of being totally blank that is
Yeah.
super helpful.
Yeah. It's almost like you're freeing yourself to have to really consider alternative pathways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like your brain is like, what is that? A Rubik's Cube? It's trying to
Hmm.
solve
Hmm.
things, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about running because it's like you just you get out there and you start getting the miles under your feet and you get to that point. Of course, the first what 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're just like
Yeah.
huffing and puffing, but
Yeah.
then you get to that plateau
Yeah.
level and it just feels good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's super easy, right? So that's also the contrast to horse riding, which is super complex. So you have to think of all your parts of the body and you have to keep in mind how the horse is. And so it's a super complex activity. And running is super easy, just one foot in front of the other, and that's it.
yeah.
That's super relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you really don't need any skill. And not taking anything away from the marathoners and the super
Mm,
elite athletes, but
mm,
as an amateur athlete, you really don't need any skill. You just need to
yeah.
unbalance
Yeah.
yourself enough where you fall
Yeah.
forward and you catch yourself with your foot, then you
Yeah.
do it again and again and
Yeah.
again. So it's great
Mm,
for a guy
mm,
like me that has no athletic
mm,
ability.
mm,
Horse riding seems really complex. The form,
mm.
paying attention, right?
Yeah.
Paying attention to the beast that's between
Yeah.
you and what
Yeah.
it's doing, and yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Um, Well, let's talk a little bit about science.
Mhm.
So, Oncotest, merged with Charles River. I'm sure that was an adjustment. But tell us a little bit about Oncotest and a little bit about your work. Of course, nothing confidential, but love to
Mm.
understand the science behind what you do.
So everything I do or we do at the site is somehow related to the collection of our patient-derived xenografts.
Hmm.
So we started many years ago in the 90s actually, and developing those sort of mouse avatars of patients,
Hmm.
and expanded the collection a lot. And then beyond using them in a mouse for drug testing or studying tumor biology, we then also developed different in vitro platforms, using this material as as starting material. Let it be 2D assays, 3D assays, and but also in collaboration. For example, we have a fantastic collaboration with an academic partner in Stuttgart who is doing tissue slices on our PDX models.
Hmm.
Um, and these are the sort of things we are doing in the last couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's super interesting to be able to, if I understand it right, to be able to take a patient's tumor, grow it in a mouse model, and be able to test that against various therapeutic agents to see what's effective. It's almost empirical curative, right? Type of discovery work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the good thing is that you have the best of both worlds, right? So you have something
Mhm.
that is at least very similar to the patient tissue, but you have not endless amounts, but nearly endless amounts of it. So you
Yeah.
can rerun the test again and
Yeah.
again by simply creating more material, which is of course a no-go in a patient.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then have you seen a real shift in business? And maybe it hasn't taken root yet, but have you seen any shift in your business since the FDA announced the kind of keep moving away from animal models for large
Yeah.
molecule testing? Have you seen a uptick in interest?
Um, it might be, there are a lot of discussions, of course. It's a little bit too soon to see really a difference in the business.
Hmm.
And the what we are doing is slightly before the essays that were tackled by the FDA announcement. So we are looking at efficacy, not so much at safety, right, or
Gotcha.
toxicity. But nevertheless, of course, there are discussions, and this is also the reason why we are try to mirror our PDX bank with an organoid bank, and or develop other 3D models that
Yeah.
can be used instead of an in vivo experiment. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, now there's a lot of competition out in this space, right? So what would you say that Oncotest, or sorry, Charles River does
Mm,
differently than say, Emulate or Mimitas or some of
mm,
these other folks that are out there in space? Of course, Emulate's an organ on a chip company,
yeah.
but similar, right?
I mean, people like Mimetas or Emulate, they focus largely on safety.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they also have the possibility to run those assays at least in a GLP-like environment, which is not important for us. So
Oh, I see. Yeah, I
this
see. In
this
early
doesn't play any role,
discovery.
right? Yeah, we
Yeah.
are discovery.
Yeah.
And I would say we have a very simplistic platform or platforms,
Hmm.
but we can cover a lot of different tumor types, for example.
Uh,
So, and
lung,
yeah,
brain, gut.
like
Yeah.
literally everything. We have more
Yeah.
than 1,000 different models up and running, and that's more the breadth and the depth of oncology, but only oncology, right? And
Yeah.
for people like Emulate or Mimetas, they have the technology which is super sophisticated, where they
Mhm.
can model more the healthy tissue in different applications, and then see what's the influence of your compound on the healthy tissue in a
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
sophisticated way, but
Yeah.
not only related to oncology.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of work going on now in inflammatory diseases and
Yeah,
using
for
some of the
example.
same tools
Yeah,
from immuno-oncology now
yeah,
in inflammatory diseases.
absolutely.
Um, and then how would you say AI is impacting our business? We see it in our personal lives and it's just
Mm,
encroached and taken over everything we do.
mhm,
And in drug discovery and drug
mm,
development, it's
mm.
really starting to gain a lot of traction. How do you
Yeah.
see that in your business from your perspective?
So for discovery, I would say the most advanced impact I see is in the part where you do high throughput screening. So you already have your target, but then you want to know which so you do your first runs, let's say, with 20,000 candidates, and then would want to pull it down to 5,000 or even 500. And that is where AI is super helpful because it can escalate. So you do one run instead of 10 or 15, and then you can feed the AI with those data, and it can pretty good mimic what might be the best 500 candidates. So you don't have to run everything in a wet lab.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
that's what I see. But and the other part is on the far other end of the drug development, and these are virtual control groups, um, where you have created enough data of untreated animals in every way you can think of, and you could use these data instead of real untreated animals.
I see. I see. Yeah. Wow. So almost doing everything in silico, and then predicting the outcome. Yeah. So long. And are you guys getting into that end of it as well? Starting to incorporate?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So my safety colleagues are in a consortium developing different virtual control groups for safety testing, and we are also working on virtual control groups for our PDX models. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
AI is really going to transform our industry
mm,
and hopefully make
mm,
it faster,
yeah,
make it less costly and
mm,
get drugs to patients quicker, right? Which is
yeah,
what it's all about. Yeah, so that's super interesting. Now, as we kind of wrap up here, a
mm,
couple questions I always like to ask. I'm fascinated.
mm,
What kind of gear do you run in? What's your favorite shoes? Do you have if you have a favorite? Some people are agnostic. I am not.
mm.
I love Hoka's. I
Yeah,
run in
yeah,
Hoka's.
yeah,
But what about
yeah.
you?
I always run in with Essex with the
Okay.
um, gel Cayano one with the really heavy
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, because of that runner's knee, I was
Yeah.
since then I'm super cautious and I change shoes every 400 kilometers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Same here. I keep a spreadsheet and
yeah,
I actually
yeah,
decrement my
yeah,
miles, in your case, kilometers. And then
yeah,
as soon as it hits, it's a good excuse for a little retail therapy.
yeah,
Plus,
absolutely.
I get a discount at my local store. So
Yeah,
yeah. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
What about watch? You have a watch that you use? Garmin?
Yeah, I use the basic version of the Garmin
Yeah.
watch, and that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
that's yeah,
So you really are a true scientist. You're measuring your inputs, you're
yeah,
true to your equipment, and
yeah.
yeah,
I
that's
can't hide it. I have to measure it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Not that
that's
it
great.
changes
Yeah,
anything, but never
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, once you break your new horsey in, are you going? You have your eyes set on any runs this fall or coming up this winter?
And I was there. There's one next, always in late spring in the vicinity here, which is more in the Black Forest, and
Oh, wow.
it's a little bit less than a half marathon. I think it's 18 kilometers or something, and it
Okay.
goes around a lake. So
Oh,
the scenery
beautiful.
is just beautiful. That would be one that
Oh,
I would like to run
oh,
one time. Yeah,
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 yeah. Yeah, that sounds gorgeous.
mm,
That sounds really
mm,
awesome. Yeah. Well, so as far as runner's knee goes, I've had a little bit of that, and I
mm,
have found that there's a variety of exercises you can do to
mm,
strengthen your knees, and I'm pretty
mm,
religious about that part of it,
mhm,
but also religious about my gear as well. Good
mm,
shoes are going to help save your
mhm.
back and your feet in the long
Yeah,
run. So yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to, share with the podcast?
No, and nothing else. Then I really love that idea and
Yeah,
that topic of the podcast. I fully support that. It's a really cool topic, and
thank you.
yeah, I hope we get some
Yeah.
um, new scientists coming in here.
Yeah, for me, in my last interview with Nasser, he ran the Boston Marathon, but every interview is so unique and
Mhm,
everyone who approaches has a different journey to share.
mhm,
It's really cool hearing your story. And somebody else is going to hear it and they're going to be motivated, to
mhm,
put some shoes on and go out there and run.
mhm,
And that's if one more person takes up
mhm,
running, I
mhm.
think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, fair
yeah.
enough. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and that's the beauty on that on running, right? It's so democratic. Everybody can do it everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I see runners in all shapes,
Yeah.
styles, forms.
Mm.
Have friends that run on their tippy toes, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody's at a different phase in their life or in their
Mm.
running journey as
Mm.
well. But what I love about it too is you meet so many different people,
Yeah. Yeah,
in
that's
their
right. Yeah.
different backgrounds, walks of life.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
fantastic. But
Mm.
anyway. Well, listen, Julia, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I appreciate it. I'm going to post this in a few weeks
Mhm.
and we'll go from there. So, and
Yeah.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for having me.